So I went ahead and researched the idea of finding some data for our site for the windrows. And we probably discussed this already in class, but a windrows is just a 360-degree analysis of the site, identifying where the prevailing winds come from during different months of the year. And the site that I found that was actually the most user-friendly for our application is so I've windrows data, and if you scroll down here, you'll find one that refers to this MesoNet, Iowa State University. And if you click through to that, you can get wind roses for any location that you want to select. So we can select from a map, and we want to get out of Wisconsin, and we want to get into, well, depending on wherever your location is. I'm going to go to New York State. And these are the hardest things to New York, and oops, got to switch the network, and then the stations will change. And let's see what we get here. I think we actually have Dansville, which is relatively close by. That might be our closest site. Let's see what this is. Oh, Wellsville. So we can select Wellsville, and what we can then do is go to Wind Roses, and we get this view for February of where the winds are coming from. And I picked one of these. I'm not sure which one I actually selected all year. So it's the one on the top here, the all-year plot of where the prevailing winds are coming from. So our strongest winds are in this region over here, although there's, it's pretty much all over the map. But I want to use this as an idea of a guide. So I've gone ahead and opened this in a new tab, and I've saved that as an image because I'm going to use it in our presentation. So I went to Save Image and saved it in my folder, because we're going to pick that up and use it in a little bit. But we can actually start to, well, the way I dealt with it was two ways: a decal and then some actual idea of where I would add plantings to create a windbreak around the building. So now that we have the windrows, let's go back to Revit, and we could look at actually using it as a decal. So I'm going to go to, I got to find out where decal is. Insert, whoops. Decal, go to decal types, and I want to add a new decal. I'll call it windrows. And we have to go out and find that. And that's mine, so I'll open that up. There's my windrows, and I don't really need to change anything else. I might need to adjust its brightness here, and I'll click OK, and then we'll do place decal, and I want to place it on a surface, and it's not going to let me place it. It let me place it there, but I'm going to actually want to place it on something a bit larger. So I'm going to do a model in place component, and I'll get a generic model again. And I'm just going to make like a stone up coming out of the ground, a flat surface that I can apply the decal to. So we'll go to an extrusion, and I'll grab and pull out something where I can just put a windrows on the, and I really want this to be kind of rectangular. I think that's what that graphic is. I'll click that complete, finish that model off, and now let's see if we can apply a decal to that. Okay, and it's really tiny, so we need to just stretch it out. I'll pull that out just a little bit. Proud of that. And now let's see what that looks like in a 3D view. A 3D view that includes it. Okay, so there it is. Let's rotate this around. That's going to end up in a presentation sheet. I don't know if no, I can't move that. I got to move the whole thing. I'm going to leave it there for now. But this idea here now is you can see that the prevailing winds, where they're coming from this quadrant of the building. We're still in the right north-south orientation. So I'm going to go to the site, and I'm just going to start to kind of like place this. Let's see if I can move this whole thing up a little bit. Whoops. Too close. Let's put it there. I don't really want it to show up in the end presentation. But so we have that right up in this quadrant here. So what I'm thinking is I want to create an area of planting. And the way I'm going to help myself remember that is I'm just going to make a little mulched area for planting some trees there. So I'm going to go to massing and site and create a subregion. And I'll use my polyline tool. And just like in the windrows, I'm just going to follow this around until I can create some kind of a form here. Now I find that this won't ever allow me to click this contain, and once you have this basic shape pulled out, you can do a lot to manipulate it for its size and its character. But the final thing in order to grab a shape on this is to just connect it with a solid line. All right, and I really don't want that to be water. I want it to be a mulch, so I want it to be, you know, something without grass. So let's make a new material. We'll call it mulch, and I'll rename that. And we'll go to appearance, and we'll pick a color that's kind of a brownish. And I'll make it light enough to read a little bit. No, a little darker than that. Maybe a little warmer. And go OK. All right, so now we have a place where we can put our windbreak here. All right, so eventually we're going to have a view. Let's click off to the other side here that I'm going to be able to place on the drawing. And your view could look different, obviously, but I'm going to crop something down that allows me to you know, bring this into a print so I can identify all of the little details that we put into our site model. And so I'm seeing this isn't quite square yet. So let's do a few more things. One, I want to add the road coming out. I don't know how far I need. I don't have a main road in here. We're not going to bother to put that in because I'm going to crop this whole thing down in a minute. Let's go to the site though. I want to expand the footprint out a little bit. Just go to this and edit the surface. And I'm just going to pull these kind of way out here so we have plenty of green space around it. And we'll go back to that 3D view, and we're good with that. And then actually I could put on a crop this. And mostly I'm just starting to think about how I want this to look as a presentation of this view. What kind of information. I'd like that to actually hover or not be so dominant within the scene, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I need to still pull this out a little bit, so we'll grab this and edit that surface, and I'll pull this out a little bit further. It's starting to get set up for that that final view that we're going to want to have that with. The other thing I wanted to put on this drawing was a north arrow. This is going to be something that many times your faculty are going to have issues with as far as helping people understand the orientation of your site. And in the next clip, we'll look at just making a quick generic kind of an arrow that has a 3D property to it that we can I'll put on the site and deal with it really as more like a descriptive model instead of a technical document, and we'll pick that up next.